Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fakest one of them all?
I honestly have no idea how I came up with that.
It was not targeted towards anybody.
Absolutely, it was. People messaging, people that didn't like me as a character. It was a very weird feeling. Someone started calling our names out. Oh my God, we know you from the show. It was a bit overwhelming. I'm very protective over people that are mistreated.
How did that fight initiate?
I don't know how it happened, to be honest. Like that whole situation, it was never supposed to be that big. First thing that annoys me about DJ Bliss is that he is a perfectionist. I don't want to give anyone else to edit my videos. I have to do it myself.
You still do it yourself?
I still do it myself.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm actually a very funny person.
Hi Danya, welcome to Spill the Tea on Gulf Buzz. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
It's an honor to have you. Before we start, I would love to say, mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fakest one of them all? That dialogue was over the internet, everywhere. What made you say that, if we start with it?
I honestly have no idea how I came up with that. It just naturally came to me, and I had that mirror in my bag that day. So I'm like, you know what? I have a prop. Let me just do it. And it just happened. It just came to me.
So it was not targeted towards anybody that time?
No, absolutely it was. I think at the end of the show, you know who I was mentioning. But yeah, it was.
When the show came out, Dubai Bling, what was your reaction when you stepped out in the public?
So Dubai Bling, everything, all the episodes came out at once.
Yeah.
Initially, like the first few days or even the first week that it came out, there was a lot of like people messaging, people that loved the show, people that didn't like me as a character. Like there was a lot of mixed messaging. So it was a bit overwhelming because, you know, we had some type of exposure before Dubai Bling, but it wasn't at the level of Netflix, like worldwide type of exposure. So it was something that I wasn't used to. And I think for the first week, it was a bit overwhelming. I didn't want to leave the house. I met up with me, Bliss, and Ibrahim. All were like talking about like, well, like, you know, how we felt. We all felt down to some extent. So then we decided, let's travel. So we went to New York, like I think it was a week or 2 weeks after the show came out.
Oh, wow.
Bliss was running for the marathon, New York Marathon.
Okay.
And me and Ibrahim tagged along. And, you know, being like, you know, we were upset about, you know, some of the negative comments. We weren't used to it. But then when we went to New York and people in New York started recognizing us, that's when we're like, wow, like who cares about the trolls on the internet? People in New York know our names. That's like the biggest thing for us. And we were just so happy. So I think that like completely shifted our outlook on the show.
So how did you feel when you landed in New York and when the first person in New York approached you and said, hey, I know you?
It was a very weird feeling because we were walking on the streets, all three of us, and then someone started calling our names out. Danya, Marwan, Ibrahim. And I thought it was like maybe a mutual friend, like someone that knows us. So we all turned around and we're like, we don't know who that is. They're like, oh my God, we know you from the show. They knew us as like our personalities, what happened on the show. They had their point of views. And then we just started talking to them. And I think that feeling was like, oh, wow. it was a coincidence. One person knew us. But then next time we'd go to another shop, they're like, oh, we just watched you. And then every like few seconds, we'd bump into different people that had seen the show. And I think the thing about Netflix is as soon as the show comes out, they push it everywhere. So everyone watches it. So I think it was like the timing, the place we went, all of us together. Maybe if it was like one of us, maybe people wouldn't be sure that it would be us. But the fact that all three of us were there, it was easy to be recognized.
Yeah, so whenever you're in a group, it's easier. But if you go alone, as you said, people would be like, we're not sure if they're... And then they look at you.
Yeah.
Then you'll be like, okay, you understand that they've seen you somewhere.
Absolutely. I know, like, with the way people look at me when I go somewhere, I know, like, they're looking at me because they're like, they recognize me, but they don't know from where, or they recognize me and they're shy to talk to me. So sometimes I just smile at them and let them know, like, you know, it's okay. You can speak to me. I'm approachable. And then they come and they talk to me. So I think you learn it over time. But in the beginning, like, it was a bit hard, but eventually we learned to love the love that we're getting from everyone and the exposure.
So how did you tackle the initial part? You said it was hard for you. How did you tackle that part?
I think the fact that me and Bliss and Ibrahim spoke about it, and, you know, no one understands the feeling except for the people on the show. If we were to go to someone else, they wouldn't understand how we felt. The only people that understood was I could speak to Ibrahim about how I felt, to Bliss about how I felt, and they could do the same because we understand, you know, the exposure. Yeah. And I think that trip that we went to the US really helped us. I think maybe if we had stayed here, it would have been very negative. We would have been, really upset. We probably would have like just focused on the negative. But when we went out in the open, we're like, we'll go to America. No one knows us there, but actually people knew us and they're giving us so much love. So I think we just got lucky and we realized that there's more love than hate. So online, trolls easily go on the internet. They hide behind a fake account. They leave hate messages. And if you're here and you don't leave the house, that's the only thing you get. But when you go out and you meet real people, you realize, no, there's actually more love than hate. So I think that's what really helped us.
Speaking about love, we know you're very protective about, your friends. You're very loyal to them. We've seen it on the show also. What do you have to say about that?
I think like loyalty is something I've been taught from a very young age. I'm very protective over people that are mistreated. That's the way I am in general. Like if I was walking on the street and I saw someone that was being mistreated, I would go and defend them, even if I didn't know them. So if I would defend a stranger, of course, when it comes to my friends and family, like I would defend them to the end. And that's who I've always been. And I'll always be that person. Like no matter what happens, I will always, that's just a character that I have and I won't change it.
I mean, that's a very rare quality in today's day and age to definitely find. And we saw that on the show as well. So if I ask, how did that fight initiate? That went viral everywhere.
I think it was like a series of events. So first it was with Farhana, like they were saying certain things about Farhana that I didn't like. And I told them how I felt about it. And I think then it was, at the desert scene when Farhana was trying to defend herself, it wasn't taken very nicely. They were making her feel uncomfortable because she was defending herself. So it was just like certain events. I don't know how it happened, to be honest. Like that whole situation, it was never supposed to be that big. I think it was just the emotions were high. There was words that were exchanged from everyone at that moment, and it just happened. I don't think it was planned. We didn't want it to end like that, but it did, and we just have to learn from what happened and hope it never happens again.
So we saw you defended Ibrahim so much,
yeah,
and your friendship truly came out at that point. So what inspired the friendship between you and Ibrahim, and what are the 3 characteristics that you love about him?
So what I love about Ibrahim is the love that he has for his family, especially his mother, the respect that he has for his mother. That's like a very important thing. And sadly, there's a lot of children that don't respect their parents. And I think when I saw that Ibrahim has that, that's how I am with my family. I love my parents. I respect them. I put my parents over anyone. So Ibrahim got my respect from that. Another thing is he's very it's true he has everything. He's a very successful businessman, but he's very also down to earth, and that's...
I agree with you.
Yeah, he's very down to earth with a lot of people, and he has great values, great morals, which is very similar to who I am as a person. No matter what I have in my life, how successful I am, I'll still treat people equally and nicely. Like I'll treat people the way they treat me. And then just the last characteristic, which is a funny one, is, I always used to say, I wish I could find a friend that would make me laugh, because always in my friends group, I was always the one that would make my friends laugh. So I always wished to have a friend that would always make me laugh. And Ibrahim is that friend that every time I hang out with him, I'm always laughing. So I think he was the answer to my prayers. I always wanted a friend that would just, lighthearted, always funny, making jokes. And Ibrahim's that kind of person. So I think it just worked out.
How did you and DJ Bliss meet?
We had a lot of mutual friends. And then my cousin's cousin was working with him in Dubai TV. And then she introduced us. So there's different people that introduced us. And we just got along. And he knew me for about 3 months when he proposed to me. But it wasn't the proposal going on one knee. It was more if I want to marry you, what do I need to do? And I'm yeah. So I'm either you call my mom. I'm your mom calls my mom, or you call my dad. So he's okay, give me your mom's number, and my mom will call your mom. And I didn't believe it. I'm okay, I sent my mom's number, but I didn't think he was actually going to do it. And that week, his mom called my mom. And that's how it happened, how we got to know each other and how we eventually got married. It was through our families.
Wow. And did this show, when the show came out or when you were shooting for the show, did it ever be a point where you disagreed on?
There was certain situations where we had disagreements. I think that the great thing about our relationship is we respect each other's opinions, even if we don't agree with it. But I still respect his opinion, and he feels the same. He's the same with me. So we allow each other to be individuals. We don't affect each other's individualities.
Okay.
So obviously there were some arguments that we had, but we still worked it out and it was fine.
3 tips for people who, are not in a steady relationship? What would you give them?
So I think the main thing in any relationship is communication. You have to communicate to the other person, because you might say something to the other person, they might understand it a different way and do something different, and then you get mad because they did it the wrong way. So I think you have to really communicate what you want to say to them so that you both understand. Second thing is respect. Regardless of you agreeing or disagreeing with that person, you have to always respect each other. And I think the last thing is love. With love, you overcome anything. So love is very important to have in a relationship.
And what is the most romantic thing DJ Bliss has done ever for you?
He's done a few romantic things, but I think the most romantic thing was doing a song for me that was on the show called Danya.
Oh, yeah.
So that was like a very, very romantic thing, and I never expected it. And like till this day, I love that song. I love listening to it. And it was, for me, the most romantic thing.
And what's your favorite thing you've ever done together as a couple?
There's so many. Going to Japan together for the first time, because Japan is somewhere that I love so much. I've been there before, but it was his first time. So going to Japan, somewhere that I truly love, and being there with someone I love, I think for me was special. Maybe if you ask him, he'll probably have a different memory, but that memory for me is something that I love.
And how's Japan like as a country? Because it's been on my list, so I've been asking.
It's amazing. Like, I've been there over 10 times and I never get bored. Every time there's something new. Just the way their culture is, the way they respect people, the way they're so thoughtful about they're very thoughtful about every detail. They're just, they're an amazing nation, and it's just, their technology is like 100 years ahead of anywhere else in the world. They're amazing.
It's way ahead.
Yeah, you should definitely go.
I have it on my list, hopefully this year or next year. Let's see.
Let me know. I'll send you recommendations when you go.
We know about Dubai Bling and DJ Bliss. I want to know how your childhood was. How did it shape you for the person who you are today?
The people that really play a major role in my childhood are my parents. My mom and dad really allowed me to express my individuality, me as a person, and they never like made me feel bad about doing something. They taught me about morals, about what's right, what's wrong, treating everyone equally, having freedom, but also remembering where your culture, your religion, your family. So it's true, I'm an individual, but everything I do, I always think about how it might affect my parents, my family. Like, I always go back to my roots. So I always tell everyone, if the whole world loved me and my parents were disappointed with how Dubai Bling was, I would have been upset. I hold my parents. They're very important to me, and they really are the reason I am the person I am today.
We could say your role models to the person who you are today is your parents.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how was your transition from your student life to a businesswoman now?
I always have this thing about me is I want to accomplish something. So when I graduated from high school, I'm like, okay, I want to go get my bachelor's degree. That was my goal, and I reached that goal. Then when I got my bachelor's degree, I'm like, okay, I want to work somewhere. So then I started working somewhere. Every year I set a goal for myself, and like one year I'm like, okay, now I got my bachelor's, now I have a job, now I have a business. What's next? I want to do my master's. So I did my master's. So now, and then I'm like, okay, what's the next thing? I want to do a YouTube channel. So every year I set goals for myself, and I hold myself very accountable to those goals. It's not like I just say it and I'm like, okay, that's it. Like, no, I work towards that goal. As individuals, we're always evolving, we're always learning, and the people around you have a huge effect on the goals you set for yourself, the things you set up. So, I mean, I started my first business in 2013. It was a cap line based on streetwear.
Oh.
That was my first business. Then I did my YouTube channel. So I look at my YouTube channel as a business because it's a stream of income for me. And then after that, I started my event company, which is the Picnic. And that was just like, I started as like me and my friend were like, you know, it'd be cool to do something like an event planning on the beach. So we did it as something fun, but then it started picking up and it became like a business venture. After that, I started my shoe line, which my business partner presented to me. And I'm like, oh my God, I love this prototype. Let's make it into a business. So me and my business partner came up with this new line called Designs, which is my new shoe line that I'm working on. And hopefully it's going to be coming out sometime in January, February. And then obviously one of my biggest and most proudest ventures that I'm so proud of is where we're sitting in right now.
Yeah.
The Besties Cafe. And this is a business that me and Ibrahim came together. And it was honestly all the ideas come out from a conversation. Like me and Ibrahim were just talking. We're like, wouldn't it be so cool if we started a coffee shop called the Besties Cafe. It was just a conversation me and him had. Yeah, and then I'm like, you know what, Ibrahim? Can we make it happen? He's like, yeah. Like, sure, you want to do it? And then we just started talking about it. We started thinking of logos, of ideas. We're sharing like images, like
wow.
Yeah, and then and now it's here. Like we're sitting in the Besties Cafe. It came into reality. Like everything starts with an idea, then you talk about it, and then you actually need to act on it. So it's enough. You know, a lot of people come up with ideas. They talk about the ideas, but they don't really act on it. I think one thing that people really need to, if they want to start businesses or if they want to, you know, go to the next step, they need to be accountable to themselves. So if you come up with an idea and you say, I'm going to do this, be accountable. Come back and be like, hey, you said you're going to do this. Have you done it yet? And if you haven't, then you should start now. Common with me and Ibrahim, when we think of something and we say we're going to do it, we actually do it. We don't just talk about it. And we did it and we're here.
In fact, my next question was like, you know, you have so many ventures and how did you come up with this idea with Ibrahim for Besties Cafe?
Yeah.
And you answered it really well. So any business that you have in your mind that's like a dream project for you, like maybe in the near future you would love to do it?
I think definitely something in beauty, but I don't want to just do it. I think that takes a lot of time, a lot of investment, a lot of like, I don't want to just do it just to do it. I want to do it the right way. So that's why I still haven't done it, but it's definitely something I want to
do.
Yeah, do.
So we were speaking about YouTube, and I think you have had a video that has crossed over like 16 million views about going to the worst makeup artist.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Okay, so basically how that happened was, so I have my YouTube channel. I was getting like 300, 200 views like max on my videos. And I'm like, what do I need to do different to make my channel like stand out? So I started looking at trends on YouTube. So I started researching. So I looked at trends that girls were doing on YouTube, and I noticed that a lot of girls were going to the worst reviewed makeup artists around the world, like different places. So
that was a trend.
It was a trend.
Wow.
So then I'm like, wait, I've experienced this when I was younger. Like when I was going to my cousin's wedding when I was younger, I've been to like places where like a hairdresser and there's a random lady's like, I can do your makeup, and she has no experience in makeup, but she like just pulls out her own makeup bag and just does something. And it's such a disaster. So I've personally experienced that. I'm like, okay, I've experienced that. I have a YouTube channel. Let me just go into the randomest hairdresser. It was so random. I just picked up my camera. I was at my parents' house that day. I just drove around, found a random hairdresser, walked in. I'm like, do you have a makeup artist? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, take me to the makeup artist. I went to her. She's like, what are you filming for? I'm like, it's my prom. Like, I want you to do my makeup for my prom. She's like, what's the color of your dress? I'm like, green. Like, and then she's like, okay. And then I think it was luck, maybe, that I showed up at that salon, and the makeup artist was so bad that I don't know what it was. But what I did is, because I researched, I looked at what worked with the different videos. Like there was girls doing voiceovers. There was girls just filming with the sound in the background. There was girls typing about their feelings. Then I'm like, oh, I can type about how I feel. So I just took like the best of all these different videos and I put it into one video, which was mine. And I was lucky that my video got like top 3 of all those trending videos.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what inspired you to start a YouTube channel?
So I have to say my husband inspired me to start my YouTube channel because he was doing daily vlogging for a long time. And then I went to Sweden for a music festival and I took his camera. I'm like, hey, I'm going to film some content for you and you can use it on your videos. He's like, yeah, sure. So I filmed 3 days worth of content. And that's a lot. So I gave it to him and he's like, okay, thank you, whatever. So he put it into his videos and 3 days worth of content, he put only 30 to 45 seconds of it.
What?
Exactly. So that's what inspired me. I'm like, all this hard work and 45 seconds, I will not allow that. So I took all that content and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start teaching myself. I didn't know how to edit videos. So I learned how to edit on iMovie.
I think that's where we all started.
That's where we all started, right? So, and it took me so long, like 7 hours just to edit like a 15-minute video. It took me so long, but I'm like, you know what? I'm determined. I'm going to do it. I filmed all this content. I don't want it to go to waste. So then the name Diva D, I'm like, okay, so what do I name my YouTube channel? When I was at this festival, my friends kept calling me Diva D because I'm like, oh my God, the bathroom's dirty. Oh my God, the food. Like I was always complaining about everything. They're like, oh my God, you're such a diva. We're going to call you Diva D. So I'm like, oh, okay, Diva D. I just put the name in and it just worked out.
Worked out. And what's the best video that you've ever created?
Best video I've created? I have to say this one, the worst review.
Yeah.
It's very special to my heart because it's really what picked up my YouTube channel. And I mean, one that's special to my heart that didn't get that many views is a video I did about sustainability. And I was talking about like how we have so many clothes and why do we have so many clothes, and finding places in our city that like maybe donate clothes or recycle clothes, or, you know, finding a way of like giving back. So I honestly, the video was so long ago, I don't remember what I did, but I remember I started off with showing how many clothes I have, and I'm like, okay, now I want to get rid of them. So I donated some of my clothes. Then I went to a place where they buy clothes and they sell it to people, and that money goes to underprivileged children that are trying to get an education. And that was something happening in Abu Dhabi. I don't know if they're still there. But so that was dear to me because I love sustainability. I love giving back. So even though it didn't get that many views, that video, but maybe that was one of the most special videos.
That made you happy
me.
from the inside.
Yeah.
But I didn't know there was something like this in the UAE for sure.
Yeah, in Abu Dhabi. It was in Abu Dhabi, but I don't know if they're still there.
Okay,
Yeah.
we will try to find it out now.
Yeah.
What's the most challenging part of creating videos for YouTube, you feel?
Right now is I don't have time. So I have a lot of people that are asking me like, we'll edit your videos, just pay us and we'll edit. I'm like, I can't, because I feel my videos need to have my touch, need to have my edits. And the thing is, I don't have time. Like since Dubai Bling, I'm not complaining, but I've been so busy. I don't have time to actually, I have content. I just don't have time to edit the content. So before Dubai Bling, like I would put out like 3-4 videos a week on YouTube. But now it's like I'm trying, so I'm doing it like once a month. And sometimes like I can't even get to once a month because I'm so busy. So I think the hardest part of doing videos is the editing. The filming is easy. It's the editing that's hard.
It's the editing that always takes time because you need to have that touch and that magic to make it work.
Yeah, and I don't want to give anyone else to edit my videos. I have to do it myself.
You still do it yourself?
I still do it myself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Who knew that?
Yeah,
Nobody.
exactly.
Like I really thought by now, I mean, you know, like people have a team and they outsource, but that's really, really impressive that you still have your own touch. You're not letting it go.
I don't know for how long I'll continue to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe eventually I'll be like, I can't. I have to ask someone to edit. But till now, I'm like, no, I want to do it myself.
What is the advice or 3 piece of, you know, advice you would give for young, upcoming YouTubers? What would you say them to motivate them?
So I think the advice I would give to YouTubers is believe in yourself. Don't think that, oh my God, I have nothing to share. Why would anyone watch my videos? I think that's, you know, that's number one thing that everyone thinks, oh, we don't have like, I don't know, maybe people might think we need like a nice car, a nice house, you just need a camera. And even if you don't have a camera, you can use your iPhone. That's the first thing. And you as an individual, you are unique and your experiences are different than anyone else's.
So true.
So it might be like a kid living on a farm and he might say, why would anyone want to see my life living on a farm? I would be interested on seeing someone living on a farm because I've never done that. So everyone has an interesting story. I think that's the first thing, just believing in themselves. The second thing is not thinking about the numbers, because I know a lot of people are like, well, I only have like 5 friends. You know, who's going to watch my videos? It's okay. 5 views is better than nothing, right? People on the internet will find your videos and watch it. They don't have to be your friend. They might even be your haters. And it's okay to have haters. At least they're giving you some engagement, right? So I think that's another thing. And I think the number 3 advice would be just be consistent. So just keep putting out videos, even if you're not getting views on it, even if, don't give up. Eventually, if you be consistent, that's what I did. Like in the beginning, I wasn't getting views. I was getting like 200, 300. It wasn't like what I wanted. But eventually it was just that one video that I put out that like just made my channel. And I think you just have to be very consistent.
I agree. You have to be very consistent. I think we all started that way, that we didn't have views in the start.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always that one video. You need to wait. There's patience to get to that video.
Absolutely.
Do you agree?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
And do you agree also that, you know, people first, they start thinking of money, like
yes.
how to monetize. Do you think is that important or their content is important when you start?
I think content is 100%.
100%?
Yeah, content. I think when you go into YouTube, don't go into YouTube thinking, I want to go and make money. Because if you go into it, then you're in YouTube for the wrong reasons. YouTube is a place to share your story, your content, your creativity. And getting money is a bonus on top. right? So I think people need to really look at that.
As we know that now you have a YouTube channel, you're a successful businesswoman, a TV reality show. How do you manage all of this and your kids, like your family, because you're family driven as well? How do you balance the two?
It's really, really hard because obviously my children are number one priority over everything. So for example, like I just have to sacrifice certain things. So if I have to be somewhere, for example, if I need to get ready and I need to be at an interview, I take my kids with me to go get ready. I can't take them to the interview because they'll be noisy or whatever. But I try to, as much as I can, incorporate my kids in everything I do. Even like when I'm watching a YouTube video, I'll have them. I don't know. It's hard, but I try to have my kids in everything I do.
And what was the most challenging period of your life that had come because you were handling so much? And how did you get out of that?
That's a good question. I think the hardest point in my life was when I was pregnant with my first child. And I was very sick. I was like every week in the hospital because I was like vomiting so much and I didn't have enough fluids and it was dangerous for me and for the child. So they give me IV fluids every week. Like they knew me in the emergency room. And then on top of that, also someone very close in my family was very sick. So I was going through something myself and I was also going through like, sadness for the person that was sick in my family. That was a really, really low point for me. And I think I got out of it trying to think it could be worse. I think when you get, no matter like the lowest point you are, you always think this could be worse. There's people that have worse than me. I was thinking, well, it's true that I'm sick, but at least my child is healthy. At least I'm having a normal pregnancy. At least I'm able to be pregnant. There's some people that aren't able. Like you always, in any situation, try to think of more negative so you feel better about your
100%.
situation. Yeah.
So that's the way how you deal with it.
Yeah,
No,
always.
I think that's the best way to deal with it because sometimes when even I feel low, that's what I do. Like I feel really low and then I'm like, at least I have this. Let's focus on that and then we'll see how we get out. So we've had enough conversations about you, Dubai Bling. Now let's have some fun.
Okay.
Okay. We have this segment called the Brew and Buzz round with Gulf Buzz.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a set of questions and you just need to answer them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah? A concert that you'll never forget.
My husband's concert in Coca-Cola Arena. I've been to so many concerts, but seeing my husband at Coca-Cola Arena, the main act, was one of the most proudest moments and I'll never forget that.
What's your favorite cheat meal?
I love French fries. They're so good. And I love like anything sweet, like chocolates,
Ooh, ice creams?
ice cream. But yeah, I would say French fries or something like with chocolate.
What's on your nightstand?
Water. Water, maybe a book. My mom got me pistachio. She's like, I don't know why. She put it next to my bed and I never eat it, but I have pistachio next to my bed.
What's one thing that you're deeply grateful for right now?
I'm grateful for my family, for my health.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Describe your morning routine.
I wake up with my kids, hang out with them during breakfast. Then I get ready. I drop them to school because I want to be always the person that drops my kids to school.
That's impressive. Trust me.
Unless I can't. Like this morning, I wasn't feeling well. So I asked the driver to take them with the nannies. But usually I always want to be the person to take my kids to school. So I drop them off. Obviously, my daughter's always crying. She doesn't want to go to nursery. So I have to deal with that. Then after that, I pick up my coffee. I have to have my coffee. That's the first thing I have in the morning. I don't have breakfast in the morning. I do intermittent fasting. So my kids are having breakfast, but I'm just sitting with them. And then my first meal or drink of the day is a coffee. So I pick up a coffee, go home, do some emails, do some work. And then, and then I pick up my kids around 2 p.m.
What is the weirdest or funniest thing that happened to you on the Dubai Bling?
When Bliss was filming his music video and Ibrahim told me that story about, like, he killed me. Like when he told me that, I couldn't stop laughing. Ibrahim makes me laugh. Every time Ibrahim says something funny, it's just funny. I think that's the funny thing.
3 things that people don't know about you.
I feel like I'm an open book. So like on Netflix, you see a lot about me. On social media, on my stories, I'm an open book. But maybe some things that people might not know about me is I love sustainability. I care about climate change. I care about the environment. That's a very important thing to me. If they gave me a choice, like we'll make you the most famous person in the world or we fix the climate issue, I would choose climate issue over being famous.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. So that's a very important thing to me. I love education. I think maybe a lot of people don't know that I love education. I love to study. I love to learn. I want to pursue my PhD. So that's something about me. And then the third thing is I'm actually a very funny person.
We agree.
I'm
we
funny.
wouldn't deny that.
I don't know if people know
deny.
that, but I'm actually really funny.
Last question. 3 things about DJ Bliss that annoy you.
Oh my gosh. 3 things. Okay, so the first thing that annoys me about DJ Bliss is that he is a perfectionist.
Okay.
He's OCD. Well, he doesn't like to say that he's OCD, but he is a perfectionist. So that annoys me because I'm a very chill person. I go with the flow, but he's like, no, everything has to be perfect. He does do last minute things like when we're traveling. So like he's like, okay, we're traveling next week. I'm like, okay, cool. And then he books the tickets like a few hours before the flight. So he does things last minute.
Oh God.
But I think I've got used to it by now.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Like we get on the flight. We do get on the flight.
But how does it feel like?
But it's always last minute.
I can literally think of that reel. Like running around and just going
That's
around.
my life, basically. It's always like that.
Since we were talking about studying, that you like studying, we heard you want to do your PhD and Dubai Bling. These are 2 opposite directions. How did that happen?
Doing my PhD has been a goal I've had since I was a kid. So I've always wanted to pursue the highest level of a degree. Even though Dubai Bling has given me so much fame, so many opportunities, I want to hold myself accountable that this is something that I promised myself that I'm going to do. And no matter what's in my life, I'm still going to do it. So that's why.
So when can people expect to come to the Besties Cafe?
Well, we're open now.
Yeah.
And me and Ibrahim are always here. So if you come, you can meet us. It's in a beautiful area in Dubai, Al Seef.
Al Seef, yes.
Which is like so Instagrammable. It's showing the old Dubai. It's a beautiful location. And we have amazing coffee here, amazing desserts, amazing sandwiches. Like the whole concept of the Besties Cafe is you going to your best friend's house. When you go to your best friend's house, you go in their kitchen, you make yourself like a really yummy sandwich. So all the food are very like homey type of foods. You feel very comfortable here. And like, honestly, I love it here. And you're more likely to bump into me and Ibrahim if you come to the Besties Cafe. So come meet us. We'd love to meet you and get your bestie.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time. Thank you. Hi, everyone. It's Danya, aka Diva D, and you are listening and watching me on Gulf Buzz. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and show some love.